Sit that right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon' shake that, 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 shit, yeah, I like that, bring that right here, sit that right there, don't go nowhere, say yeah, I like that, bring that right here, sit that right there, don't go nowhere, little baby gon'.
Welcome back. We back with another reaction video. Today we reacting to Matty Balls, famous musicians who work odd jobs now. What is that? Is that Vanilla Ice?
Whether it was from being a one-hit wonder and falling off, or just straight up deciding to leave the music industry, many musicians have stepped away from the fame and joined the workforce. So today we're going to be looking into 6 famous musicians who work normal jobs, starting off with Vanilla Ice.
As a young kid coming down on me, more pressure than anybody could ever imagine, more pressure than anybody ever to make a song.
Vanilla Ice went from selling millions of albums and breaking records to flipping houses on TV. Vanilla Ice, as I'm sure many of us know, blew up from making the song Ice Ice Baby. It was a huge hit in the early 90s, and it also created a lot of controversy as it was the first hip-hop song to reach #1 on the Billboard charts. There was also some controversy because he sampled Queen's song Under Pressure and didn't really add much to it, so a lot of people got upset. Regardless, Ice Ice Baby was one of his earliest songs, featured on his debut album Hooked from 1989. So he didn't have much of a foundation to build his extreme success on. He followed that up with the album To the Extreme, his debut studio album, and he also put Ice Ice Baby on that album as well to boost sales. Apart from his hit single, the album performed fairly well, securing 16 weeks at the top of the Billboard 200 and selling 15 million copies. This single and his album launched him into international stardom, and Vanilla Ice became a household name. But unfortunately, his success was very short-lived. He tried to follow up his smash hit album with his next studio project, Mind Blowin', in 1994. But it did very poorly in comparison to his last project. Compared to his previous 15 million, this album only sold 42,000 copies. It was becoming much more apparent that Vanilla Ice was a one-hit wonder. Not only that, but he was struggling with drug addiction, lawsuits, and tons of controversies. People began to hate Vanilla Ice, so because of all this, he took a break from the music to start competing in jet skiing and did some motocross racing. He then returned back to music in 1998 with the album Hard to Swallow, which I actually covered in my video called Artists Who Switch Genres and Failed, because he tried to switch to hard rock and it didn't work out so well. Vanilla Ice continued to release music, but it really wasn't working. So that's when he switched to real estate and home renovation. In 2009, Vanilla Ice began working on a reality TV show called The Vanilla Ice Project, which appeared on the DIY network. He was able to leverage his fame and his entrepreneurial skills to find some success in hosting his own TV show. Basically, they would just follow him around with cameras while him and his crew would renovate houses.
Wait, this started in 2009. Why have I never seen this? Like, what?
They started airing episodes in 2010, and the show actually ran until 2019 with a total of 9 seasons. The show was very successful, enough for Vanilla Ice to open his own real estate advice website. He did other acting things too, like getting a role in the movie That's My Boy, and also played Captain Hook in a theater production of Peter Pan. After his show ended in 2019, he came back in 2021 and announced his next show called The Vanilla Ice Home Show, and a 13-episode season was slated to release in 2022. But I cannot find it anywhere online, so I'm not sure it worked out too well. Regardless, Vanilla Ice seems to have successfully transitioned from music to home renovation and television. Building Homes probably has Vanilla Ice smelling kind of bad.
Go on tour, then I'm going to play a bunch of challengers and futures and 10K.
LMFAO went from being one of the biggest EDM duos in the world with multiple hits to clinging on to their past fame, with one member now trying to go pro in tennis. LMFAO was an EDM duo composed of uncle and nephew Red Foo and Sky Blue. They came into the music scene in the late 2000s and were very recognizable by their energetic and catchy tracks, which would eventually become club bangers. They did have a bit of an advantage though, since Red Foo is the son of Berry Gordy, the founder of Motown Records. Gained some solid attention when they released their debut album in 2009, which was titled Party Rock. Then in 2011, they released the album Sorry for Party Rocking, which absolutely blew up. Songs like Party Rock Anthem, Champagne Showers, Sexy and I Know It, and Sorry for Party Rockin' were playing everywhere. They were topping charts, winning awards, and even creating dances that everyone was doing. But unfortunately for them, their decline was about as rapid as their rise to fame was. As they were becoming international stars, in 2012 there was some tension tension within the duo. In an interview with the Australian Associated Press, Billboard reported that Red Foo expressed a desire to explore new directions. He made it sound like after working together for so long, they should go their separate ways and work on their individual careers. Red Foo said, "I feel like we've been doing this for so long, 5 or 6 years." And although they would later clarify in another interview that they weren't breaking up, their lack of music output made it clear that they weren't working together too often. Since releasing their major success album in 2011, they hadn't released anything since apart from a few remixes. This can be explained in a statement made to Billboard in 2012 where they said they were going to take an indefinite hiatus. During their hiatus, Red Foo released a few singles and later released an album called Party Rock Mansion, which was a huge commercial failure and sold only 144 copies in Australia. He did have some success though, appearing on The X Factor and Dancing with the Stars. The X Factor he was on was X Factor Australia, so it's even more embarrassing his album only sold 144 copies there. On the other hand, Sky Blue was releasing his own music and released 2 albums, Rebel Music and We Evolve Every Day. He also released an album called Chaos to Consciousness, but neither him or Red Foo saw any success at all in their solo careers. But we also get a little bit of insight behind the scenes of the group in interviews during their hiatus.
But the truth is that, you know, in LMFAO, my back was a huge problem. You know, because I hurt my back. I fell off stage. I was drunk one time. But before that, many times in football, I got hit in the back because I was a wide receiver. So I had 3 herniated discs, degenerative disc, and an out-of-place vertebrae in my neck.
Damn.
Still performing. During the Super Bowl, my disc slipped when I was performing.
Bro, there's no way. Is there no footage of this?
And so as soon as I went down that little elevator, I collapsed and I couldn't even watch the rest of the show or anything.
So you got kicked out the group because your back went out.
I mean, pretty, you know, not out, yeah. You know, look,
Then in 2016, Sky Blue made a Facebook post directed at Red Foo that really demonstrated the tension the group was having. He wrote an extremely long post detailing things like Red Foo's lawyer telling Sky Blue that Red Foo owned all of LMFAO's royalties, even though they had agreed on a 50-50 split.
I mean, that's messed up because y'all family, bro. But then again, you know who his father is, right?
He said that Red Foo toured as LMFAO without him, hurt the brand's image by releasing his own album called Party Rock Mansion, and detailed other ways in which his uncle had backstabbed him. He said that Red Foo was demeaning, fake, and took the LMFAO brand for himself while watering it down in the process. Following this, both Rick Ross and their former management sued LMFAO, further hurting the duo's chance of ever making a return. Since LMFAO broke up, apart from both of them having unsuccessful music careers, Red Foo has actually been pursuing a career in tennis. Apparently, he's always loved tennis since he was a kid, and he even went to a tennis camp in Sweden when he was 15. He's been training with a coach named Lester Cook, who used to be a professional player. He's hosted tournaments, he's coached players, and currently he has a 6-9 record in US Tennis Association matches. Most people look at my age and may look at the way I look, and it's easy to say he can never do it. Apparently, he even wrote a movie script about his tennis journey, so this seems to be a really big deal to him. He even played a point against Serena Williams in 2017, but he must not have been very good back then because he messed up his serve 3 times before actually getting it over. And while this isn't exactly a normal job like others on this list, it definitely is a strange transition.
So I had a great time, and I'm pleased to be able to leave honestly.
Bruce Dickinson is best known as the lead singer of the legendary heavy metal band Iron Maiden, but he eventually left to become a pilot. Bruce joined Iron Maiden in 1981, and his vocals became one of the defining features of the band's sound. Him and the rest of the band were blowing up in the 80s with albums like The Number of the Beast and Peace of Mind. He released multiple albums with the band, and they saw a ton of success together. I'm sure most people are familiar with Iron Maiden and just how popular of a band they are, so because of this, Bruce never fell off, but instead he decided to leave Iron Maiden in 1993 to pursue a solo career. The reason he did this was because he was disappointed with the effort, as he felt the band needed a more dramatic stylistic departure from past records to remain relevant. Apparently he wanted the album Somewhere in Time to be more acoustic, but his ideas were rejected by the others in the band, so he ended up not having any writing credits on the album. Another member, Steve Harris, suggested that his writing material was rejected simply because it just wasn't good enough. Regardless, for multiple reasons, Bruce decided to leave Iron Maiden. His solo career was well received, and he was able to demonstrate some stylistic versatility. But of course, it's extremely hard to live up to the commercial success of the group Iron Maiden. So Bruce started exploring his other interests and stopped releasing music as often. And then he decided to switch careers. In the early 90s, Bruce began learning how to fly in Florida. He would actually fly Iron Maiden's tour plane Ed Force One. He eventually obtained an airline transport pilot's license. He became a full-fledged pilot, flying Boeing 757s as a captain for the airline Astraeus. Bruce even briefly became a marketing director for Astraeus in 2010 and would help release videos for the company, some of which he was even featured in. Bruce said, "Because I love flying, I was working for a company which had airplanes for hire and I was a captain there for several years. However, Astraeus actually went out of business, so Bruce started his own aircraft maintenance and pilot training company called Cardiff Aviation, although it was later renamed to Cardav." Some of the more important flights of his career included a group of British pilots from Afghanistan in 2008, 200 British citizens from Lebanon in 2006 during the Israel-Hezbollah conflict, and he also flew 180 stranded people on vacation out of Egypt after an airline decided to just stop all of their flights when they went out of business. Of course, he's done many other things throughout his life and career, as many famous musicians do, but his career as a pilot is very impressive. Oh, and he eventually rejoined Iron Maiden and kept flying the boys around on Ed Force One.
I'm going to be going into my kind of first passion, which was the business side of things. So kind of pouring my passion into that, as well as being a father.
Continuing on the construction trend, Kevin Jonas went from being a member of the famous group the Jonas Brothers to now working in the construction industry, starting his own home building company. So Kevin Jonas, along with his brothers Nick and Joe, blew up with their band the Jonas Brothers. They started in 2005 and quickly became huge among younger audiences. They famously appeared on Disney Channel in movies like Camp Rock 2, and also got their own series called Jonas. They even guest starred in shows like Hannah Montana, so they were all over Disney, which got them a ton of attention. They released their second album in 2007, which would become their breakthrough album, and because of their Disney Channel presence, they had a very loyal fan base of younger kids. They ended up releasing 4 albums, selling over 20 million copies worldwide, and even got nominated for a Grammy. But after seeing all of their success in the late 2000s and early 2010s, the group would announce a split in 2013. Apparently they were disbanding because they had creative differences and the bros wanted to pursue different things. Both Joe and Nick continued their careers in music as solo artists, and they saw some decent success. But Kevin decided to do something a bit more unconventional. Kevin began working in reality TV and also started his own construction business called Jonas Werner. His reality TV show was called Married to Jonas and showed fans some behind the scenes in his life, more specifically focusing on his marriage with Danielle Jonas. The show wasn't super successful though, and it only lasted 2 seasons. However, his company Jonas Werner Fine Custom Homes was seemingly a fairly successful company. Like the name suggests, he was running a company that would build high-end custom homes, do renovations, and also did revisions. I'm not sure how much hands-on work he actually did, but it did seem like he was fairly successful with this while he was doing it. Their Instagram shows off a lot of houses that they worked on, and it really seems like the business was booming for a few.
They only got 2,000 followers, damn.
Years. And although this is probably the most interesting job he worked following music, Kevin also worked on a couple of apps like Yude and the Blue Market Company, an influencer marketing company that was seemingly successful. And while Kevin had been working all of these jobs, him and his brothers had planned to reunite in 2019. They released some singles and then an album in 2019 called Happiness Begins. They also released an album last year that was appropriately titled The Album. While still reunited with his brothers and releasing music, Kevin still did things outside of the music, like hosting a TV show called Claim to Fame. So Kevin Jonas seems to enjoy doing a handful of things, although Jonas Werner seems to no longer be active.
I don't think there's anything crazy about making a career change after 17 years.
Damn, that nigga got the super AD, bro. What the? Your barber hates you.
It is a weird thing. It's like, what's he thinking? I mean, I can imagine people saying that. My family's that way. It's like, are you sure you're okay? You're okay with this?
Bill Berry rose to fame in the early 1980s as the drummer of REM, a band that would become one of the most influential groups in alternative rock, but then decided to become a farmer. REM started in Athens, Georgia, just as a college band made up of a bunch of buds. But then they began to gain national attention with their unique sound as they combined punk, folk, and rock. Bill Berry was a huge component of the band as his drumming style helped contribute to their distinct sound. He also helped write the songs, would play other instruments on occasion, and also helped with background vocals. After releasing albums like Murmur and Reckoning, they were able to establish themselves as major artists in the alt-rock scene. REM saw commercial success with the album Document, which had the hit single The One I Love. They released 2 more albums, Out of Time and Automatic for the People, which featured some of their biggest, most successful and iconic songs like Losing My Religion and Everybody Hurts, cementing their status as rock icons. However, things took a turn for the worse when in 1995, during a concert tour, Barry suffered a brain aneurysm on stage, which if you didn't know is life-threatening. He collapsed on stage saying, "It felt like a bowling ball hit me in the head." Bill was quickly taken to a hospital, had surgery to prevent another one from happening, and after his surgery he had to recover at the hospital for about a month. But after his recovery he said, "I found myself not wanting to go around the drums because I didn't want to find out there was something wrong. So I ended up testing my hands by playing some golf and everything was fine. I'm 100%. However, he did eventually get tired of the rock star lifestyle. In 1997, after 17 years with REM, Bill decided to leave, likely in part due to the aneurysm, but he mostly decided to retire from music because he didn't enjoy touring and playing all the time like he used to. Unlike Vanilla Ice or LMFAO, Bill Berry didn't fall off. Unlike Kevin Jonas, REM didn't break up. Bill decided to go live a simple life and began working on a farm. He retreated away from the public eye and pursued a
What was the point of the drop? He's working on a farm. Like, that's not dramatic.
Simple life working on a hay farm in Georgia. This change really reflects how he probably felt about touring and performing constantly, as it seems like he wanted a much less fast-paced life. Apparently he used to do a lot of the heavy labor himself, but as he got older he's been leaving that to others. He got interviewed in 2019 and was asked where he goes on vacation, and he said, "I would never go on vacation. Vacation for me is right here. I spent enough time in airports and in vans and on buses. I kind of like sitting still for a while. Still haven't grown tired of that." He never entirely separated himself from music, playing a few instruments in his house, doing a few sporadic shows over the years, and participating in a couple of rare interviews. And actually in the last couple of years he decided to form a new group called The Bad Ends, who released their first album, The Power and the Glory, in early 2023.
I just had my son a live natural birth at home as well, so I had a little bit of experience. And after that I felt that, wow, I can do this.
From selling millions of copies of her albums and winning Grammys to helping support women that are going through labor by becoming a doula, Erykah Badu has had a very interesting career transition. Erykah Badu, also known as the Queen of Neo Soul, is a famous singer who rose to success in the late 1990s thanks to her album Baduism. She even won 2 Grammys thanks to that album. She had hit songs like On and Next Lifetime that were topping charts and making her a huge sensation. She continued releasing music and continued to see success, but as we have seen with a lot of artists, her popularity slightly began to wane. She never fell off for anything, as many—
Bro, you know how many times people have mentioned Erykah Badu or interpolated anything that's like, what do y'all consist of falling off? Like, this is not a fall off.
Many of her albums were super successful commercially, but they just didn't go as crazy as the first one did. Over time, her musical output became less and less, and it seemed like she was focusing on other things. Erykah did and still does have a very strong and dedicated fan base, so she was able to do this. And what she chose to do was become a doula. A doula is, by definition, a woman, typically without formal obstetric training, who is employed to provide guidance and support to a pregnant woman during labor. So in 2001, Erykah's best friends called, with the husband saying his wife was in labor. So she said she went to the natural 52-hour labor and stayed with her. She said that she provided all sorts of support.
52 hours, bruh. No sleep is crazy.
And realized that since she already had kids, this is something that she could do for other women.
And after that, I felt that, wow, I can do this. You know, I can be the welcoming committee.
Yeah.
You know, for new spirits coming in. And that's when I decided to start studying for it. And I became a doula about 5 years ago. But since the birth of Ituela, Stickman, and Afia's son in 2001, in between that I've assisted at least 40 births. Wow.
That interview clip is actually 8 years old, and since then I think she's helped participate in a handful of more deliveries. And of course, like everyone else on this list, she has done a bunch of other things related to her music career, and she never actually quit releasing music like a handful of the people on this list have, so I guess her being a doula is a bit more of a passion project. Anyways, I appreciate you guys watching. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like down below, and maybe even consider subscribing.
Maddie, get the hell up out of here. It was a good video. I'm glad everything ended, like, you know, smoothly. Most of these people be having horrible transitions to where they can't cope with being regular anymore. So it's a nice little video. Hopefully Drake fall off will proceed like this. That nigga Drake is cooked. That was the end of the video. Make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and share your thoughts on the video in the comments section below. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Stay safe, y'all.
I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, ain't to live is to come. All this pain got me feeling accomplished. See these guys turn me into a monster. Hey, I'm a cowboy, can't stop me, to live is to come. All this pain got me feeling accomplished. See these guys turn me into a monster. I'm a cowboy, can't stop. Hey, all that pain got me feeling jaded. Many Utero in the making, still plugged into the mix, but lagging out before the update. Drop back in different times, same location.